Welcome to the Real Film Nerds Podcast.
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. Welcome, everyone, to Real Film Nerds episode number 257. Why the hell did Mike pick a movie based on a Shakespeare play? I mean, The Tragedy of Macbeth, starring Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand. Mike, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Mike, why the hell did you pick a movie that I didn't understand?
Well, man, I just wanted to be reminded of the old English style of talking and how I also had a heck of a time trying to keep up with the dialogue spoken in real time. I was like, yeah, basically, Matt, I can boil down the movie to this. A crazy guy doing crazy things. And that's the end.
Perfect. So, all right. Thanks for joining us for Real Film Nerds episode number 257. Next week, we'll have a longer podcast. So, all right, Mike, Macbeth, this was like the last freaking movie I would ever think would come out of your mouth that you wanted to review. Honestly, I thought it was a good movie, but I have a hard time comprehending a lot of the old English Shakespearean language. We studied the hell out of it in school. I didn't like it back then. I understood it back then. I understood it probably about as much now as I did back then. But the big selling points, and I understand why for this movie, why you picked it, is Denzel Washington is absolutely amazing. Frances McDormand, incredible, absolutely incredible. But shocker, the young lady that played the witches, oh gosh, I'm trying to look up her name here. Kathryn Hunter, amazing. I think she stole the show. She acted the shit out of that part, or those parts, because she did represent all three of the witches. But overall, I like this movie. I thought it was great. I really don't like Shakespeare just personally. I had a lot of it crammed down my throat as a child before I even got into high school or even middle school. But for the most part, this is a really, really good film. I love how it's shot. It's really, in my opinion, it's shot a lot like your own personal play that's in your living room with elements of a movie, because it really, really comes off very much as a play. Mike, I know I'm just sitting here jabbering. What are your thoughts?
Matt, so I kind of echo what you're saying, Matt, which is, part of the reason I wanted to watch this movie was I wanted to see, Denzel Washington and Joel Coen and Frances McDormand and just kind of see what was going to happen. And, of course, there was awesome acting. And the way this movie was shot, I really liked it. It was like super high contrast, the blacks and the whites. I really liked that with the shadows and the lighting. Like, it was so interesting. There's a few scenes where I had no idea how they did some of that stuff. And then you're right, there are a lot of elements, like there's this kind of shack type place that is used quite a bit in the movie, and it seemed very play-like, like not like a real structure. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. It was all in black and white, which was neat. But yeah, the old English, man. I was struggling, man, to try and keep up with what they were talking about. Like, because it's like you got to do like a real-time translation. Like, okay, what are they talking about? It's almost like they had to talk and then you have to pause and be like, okay, I think I got it.
I turned on closed captioning to see if it would help. So like it would translate it into like normal English. It didn't. It was just the old English just on the screen. It didn't help at all.
Yeah. And I wasn't familiar with the story of Macbeth specifically. I did know it was a Shakespeare thing, but I didn't realize kind of what it was all about. And yeah, so it was interesting, but it was hard to keep up with Old English in real time.
Mike, how do you not know the story of Macbeth? I mean, it's about a Scottish king. It's right up your alley. I mean, granted, it's not Ireland, but it's still your part of the world.
Oh, sometimes things just get by me.
Well, you act like you're busy or something. I don't know. I mean, you're even sitting here wearing an Irish shirt right now.
I am. It's one of the St. Patrick's Day shirts I got a while back. Just next in the rotation.
Hey, so Mike, do you miss concerts yet?
I would like to see a concert, but yeah, there's nothing really coming, at least in our neck of the woods, that I'm too interested in right now. Matt, how are all your canceled, rescheduled shows going?
One of them successfully went through, and hopefully there will be a second one that goes through, and the third one has been canceled for the fourth time. Here's an interesting one, Mike. I was just thinking about this. I don't know if I told you or not, but do you remember the last time you were here in the old Zona? We saw Tool on my birthday. I spent way too much for tickets, and they were floor tickets. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Well, funny enough, that was right before COVID hit. Guess which band was the first concert I saw when we're getting a lessening of COVID, I guess?
You saw them again.
Tool. Yep. Granted, the seats were nowhere near as good, and I paid just about as much.
Isn't COVID nice?
It's so awesome. Everything costs so much more now, and the seats were absolute trash. But whatever. It still was Tool. It was still Maynard. And, when you go to Tool, it's not really to see the band. I mean, yes, it's to see the band perform live. But with Tool specifically, they like their darkness, especially Maynard. It's all about their light show and their smoke and trippy ass visuals. I miss the visuals of the 90s, I'll be honest. Like watching the show, it was good, but a lot of those visuals in the 90s I think were a lot better back when we first were watching Tool and stuff. But anyways, I'm super off topic. Mike, back to Shakespeare. Actually, you know what? How does Tool inspire Shakespeare? Or Shakespeare inspire Tool? There. Now it's back in.
Oh yeah, that was a good segue, Matt. I have no idea, but I'm sure they're with some of the Old English lies some of the key to Maynard's lyrics. Boom.
Now, do you think it's the Old English like that you get at the Circle K down the street?
Oh, I don't know. That would be interesting. Old E or Old EHG. I don't even know if they still make that, but they used to have an Old E high gravity, which they called HG.
Do you think that's why Denzel Washington and everyone else were talking the way they were talking in this movie? Because they were all lit up on OE.
I doubt that is what it is, but maybe they had the OE Star Trek Translator on there.
What the hell is that? I don't watch the Trek. I'm a Wars man.
Well, there's like a universal translator that they use in Star Trek, so maybe there's an Old E setting or Old English.
Damn it, Mike! Now you're making me thirsty.
Yeah. Okay, well, you can always stop by the old Circle K or actually, with that, Matt, why don't I ask you, what are you drinking this morning, afternoon, evening?
Well, Mike, I am not drinking some OE. That would have been a good tie-in, though. I totally should have done that. Instead, I am drinking a beer from the East Coast, a Sam Adams Boston Lager.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Boston has a lot of history with the English, with the Tea Party and stuff, so maybe you could tie that to it.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure Shakespeare inspired Boston to create a beer named after one of our founding fathers. But hey, I'm down for it. So, Mike, what Shakespearean-inspired beverage are you partaking with this podcast?
All right, Matt. Well, I am drinking something called Alassian's Full Contact Imperial Hazy IPA.
Say that 3 times fast. Jesus.
Oh, I can't.
Okay, let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. As much as I fucking hate this segment, Mike. Go ahead, Mike. What is this week's incredible dad joke?
I got dad jokes, I don't think they understand though. Gotta think I'm funny, other people never laugh though. Dad jokes.
All right, Matt. I don't know if you're ready for this,
I never am.
but here you go. Why can't an ear be 12 inches long?
Mike, please, I'm dying to know. Why can't an ear be 12 inches long?
Because then it would be a foot.
Honestly, do you sit there and read that book when you're at work and you're supposed to be making money for your family and go, all right, which one was worse than last week's? Like, do you sit there and do like research? I'm betting you do.
I do, man. Most of my day is actually just trying to figure out which dad joke. I mean, that's like for the whole week. I really only work for about 5 minutes a day.
I believe it. I 100% believe it. How off the cliff these are going. Yes, I 100% believe this is part of your job now. You're getting paid lots of money to sit there and figure out how to torture me with dad jokes.
Yes, 100%.
I'm just glad that you accept it. Okay, Mike. My favorite question of the podcast and part of our middle segment of the podcast, which is all questions. Mike, how does the tragedy of Macbeth relate to the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, Matt, thanks for asking. And I was a little worried about this one because, you know, our man Denzel hasn't been in the MCU yet.
Keyword is yet.
Yes, and Frances McDormand, not yet. But I feel like they're coming, so we're just going to have to be patient. But until that happens, our MCU tie-in for this movie is Corey Hawkins, who plays Macduff. Corey Hawkins was in Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3. All right. Very good, Mike. Very good. Even though that's not a great Iron Man film, I'll let it slide.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm just happy when I find one, you know?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'll let it slide. Well, not slide. I mean, you nailed it. You found it. I was wondering if Brendan Gleeson had been in the MCU. I don't remember if he has or not.
I checked. I didn't see anything.
Because he looks like he would have been in there for something, but you know, he's one of those big time character actors that's really, really well known. But anyways, we'll progress. Okay, Mike, so we're in the spoiler section. I don't know what the hell we're going to spoil since neither of us really understood what was going on. But Shakespeare, murder, tragedy, betrayal.
Yeah, all that, Matt. But you know what? One thing we forgot to do?
What, Mike?
You forgot to ask me about the rundown. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now.
Well, I didn't want to ask you about the rundown because I just jumped into this shit because I don't want you trying to trip over some words and some names. And okay, fine. Go ahead, Mike. Do the rundown for
all right.
our movie today.
All right. So The Tragedy of Macbeth, 2021, was directed and written by Joel Coen, and it's based on a play by William Shakespeare. And it's starring Denzel Washington, Frances McDormand, Alex Hassel, Bertie Cavell, Brendan Gleeson, Corey Hawkins. And a Scottish lord becomes convinced by a trio of witches that he will become the next king of Scotland, and his ambitious wife supports him in his plan of seizing power.
See, you can't do like our normal English, So, dude, this must have been like absolute hell for you to watch. Just absolute hell.
I'm not gonna lie, man. It was tough. It was tough. There were times where I considered pausing it to be like, "What the heck did it just happen?" Like I'm like they, talking at the full speed that they were. I was like, it was like trying to slow it down. Like if someone with like a thick accent starts talking to you and you're like, "What the heck are they saying?" You like try and slow it down, repeat it in your mind, and then do it again, and you're like, "Oh yeah." It's like that.
Okay, all right. I get it. So maybe I'll ask, like, what part of the film did you really like? I don't know, Mike. I'm just kind of, I don't know.
I really liked the every time the witches showed up. I mean, it's only a couple times, but it was interesting. It was very, I don't know, like creepy, and it was cool.
Yeah, it was some of the creepiest, trippiest scenes. Was Kathryn Hunter's character as the witch is showing up. I mean, she just really knocked it out of the park. On top of all the special effects and different things they did with her, I liked the sword fighting scene at the end of the film. I wish it would have been a little bit longer, but is what it is. And then the murdering of the king, the assassination of the king was pretty interesting because I thought they were going to kind of like pan away like a typical play or something like that. Oh no. Denzel clearly jabbed that knife into that man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, there was no panning away. We know who did it.
Definitely. And then, the next morning when they're calling out, his people as the murderers, Denzel immediately just starts murdering again. So, getting, working 9 to 5, I guess,
Well, he didn't want them to have any chance to mess up his story, so gotta take him out.
No, he wanted to be king, man. He wanted to be king, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. Oh, dude, that is definitely one of the darkest scenes of the whole film, though. Is the it was shot beautifully, really, really well. But when they raided the Corey Hawkins, Macduff's character's castle or estate and murders his whole family and kids, and he takes that one son and throws him and he just disappears into the smoke. Dude, that was shot so well, but that was extremely tragic.
Oh yeah, man, that was pretty brutal. I definitely wondered when what was his character? Berto? No, Bruto. Banquo. You know who I'm talking? Banquo.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, when Banquo and his son are like on their journey, and the assassins are sent. And, they have this kind of scuffle over at, like the weird building.
Okay.
Like, I was like, oh, are they going to go kill the kid too? And it kind of alluded that they were, but then, it cuts away. And then later on at the end, you find out that they didn't. And so maybe the witch's prophecy was true with, like, your blood will be in every king or whatever. Like, it was interesting. Like that, You know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
No.
I know the scene you're talking about, but I think the father was Lennox, wasn't he?
No. It was what's his face. I think that was his. Well, no, I don't think it was Lennox. I think it was Banco? I don't know how to say it.
It doesn't matter. I know the scene you're talking about, Mike. We don't need to try and put out his name again. It's fine, Mike. It's fine. Yeah, he got assassinated by the dude that went and ratted out the cousin of Macduff. Yeah, it's hard to keep track of all the relations too in the Shakespeare films.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like, it is a little bit confusing on who is related to who and why they're important. It just kind of happens. Like Malcolm, at least he was clearly the son of the king. And then when the king got murdered, he's like, "Whoop, peace out," because I feel like they're gonna get me next. And they would have, but he left. So then they had to go look for him.
What about a nice classic actor that I believe has worked with the Coens before, Stephen Root, getting a little cameo in there?
Oh man, his drunken character was hilarious. I understood most of that, but it was mostly because of physical gesturing.
Yeah, and no red stapler on this one.
That's true.
All right, Mike. So I honestly I don't know how much longer we can talk about this movie and keep squeezing it out. It's tough, man. It's tough. If you like Shakespeare, check it out. If you like movies, it's definitely worth a watch. Mike, go ahead. How many reels do you give the Tragedy of Macbeth?
Matt, I'm going to give this 3.5 out of 5 reels. And the reason I'm giving it what I think is pretty high rating is it's all the way this movie was shot. It was beautiful. And the acting was superb. I just not a huge Shakespeare fan, so that's why it gets some knocked off from me. I do think this will be nominated for Best Cinematography. What do you think for the Oscars, Matt? At least that?
Oh, yeah, dude. It's going to be nominated for a lot of awards. A whole lot of awards. And that's not really what affects my rating. My rating is higher than yours, Mike. And that's because it's a good film. Just like you, I could really care less about Shakespeare. Like I discussed earlier, I had him crammed down my throat at a very young age. Not my thing, but you got to respect him. He was an amazing storyteller. I mean, it's hundreds of years later and they're still making movies and reading his novels and books and plays in schools. I mean, that's a testament to his works. Granted, I think some of that might be a little biased just because you've been doing it for hundreds of years doesn't mean you should keep going, but that's not here nor there. We're here to talk about a movie. So, Mike, I liked it. I thought it was great. Acting, absolutely incredible. Directing, fantastic. Cinematography, editing. I mean, this is like what movies are made for, It really is. The only reason I don't give it higher is because it's Shakespeare. And Mike, I give it a 4 out of 5.
Oh, okay. Well, cool, man. Yeah, I know this one. I picked it, and I'm sorry, but
no need to apologize. It's worth it, man.
I think it's going to be cleaning up some of the award stuff, and then it looked interesting, and it was interesting. It was just it's tough to understand the Old English.
Well, all right, Mike, next week is my pick. And as you will hear in this podcast, I discussed it a little bit on the radio, is that you and I, even if we don't review all of them, we really try to see every single Best Picture nominee for the Academy Awards. And the rumors are, at least as far as I can tell, as this film has been nominated in many other awards ceremonies and groups and things. My pick for next week is The Power of the Dog, and it is streaming on Netflix. And yes, it's been out for a while. It came out in November, but as it gets more and more award buzz, I think it's going to be nominated for a bunch of crap. We probably should see it.
All right, let's watch it, Matt. Let's do it. I'm sure it'll be different than the movie that we just watched, so that should be fun.
Yeah, going from a classic Shakespearean tragedy to a romantic Western drama, big time difference.
All right. Well, I look forward to that one, and yeah.
Okay, Mike. Well, I think that's it. I think we will call that a podcast unless you have more things you would like to add, sire.
No, I don't think I have anything more to add. This was an interesting movie, and I'm sure a bunch of people will see it. Oh, we didn't mention, Matt. It was on Apple TV Plus.
You're right, Mike. It is our very first Apple TV Plus Tributary. You unplugged your mic, dude. Hey there, boys and girls. We had a bit of an issue there. Actually, let me rephrase that. Mike had a bit of an issue there. He unplugged his mic. I caught that he unplugged it. He plugged it back in and forgot to hit record again. So anyways, just to sum up the last 4 or 5 minutes of our podcast, Mike and I discussed Apple TV Plus a little bit, the different content they have on there, like Tom Hanks' new movie, one of my new favorite shows, Ted Lasso. It is a must watch if you have Apple TV Plus. And then just some random gibbering. Just know this, next week we will be reviewing Power of the Dog, my pick, currently streaming on Netflix. Go check it out right now. It's going to be nominated for a ton of awards. It already has been, so I'm sure it'll be in best running for, best picture at the Academy Awards. Anyways, on behalf of Mysterious Mike Talent and myself, thank you everyone for tuning in and your continued support of our little podcast here. We know there's not a whole lot of you out there, but we do cherish and like every single one of you listening to our pod and writing in and saying thanks and keep going. All right, well, that's it for Real Film Nerds episode number 257. Remember, follow us on the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Facebooks. We do have a Facebook group. Always join that. Sometimes people talk in there, sometimes people don't. And any questions, comments, concerns, or criticisms, make sure and email them to nerds@realfilmnerds.com or matt@realfilmnerds.com or mike@realfilmnerds.com. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for listening. Here we go with my Magic 99.1 interview with Lisa live and local and following quickly behind my mom's. Chat with you next week.
Thank you for listening to The Real Film Nerds. Now don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Real Film Nerds. Now go out and catch a movie.
Matt Henshaw in studio with me this morning on Magic 99.1. How's it going, Maddie?
It's going better now that you remember I'm here.
Usually I'm waiting in the waiting room for you.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
I walk in, no one's there. It's empty. I'm like, wow, no one was expecting me.
A long weekend. But you're here and you're ready to tell us all about the tragedy of Macbeth. Tell us.
The real question is, how many hours of football in Ozarks did you watch this time?
I did not watch any Ozark because I'm over it.
Wow.
Finished it.
All right.
And I watched 2 full football games. Like everybody else did.
Because that was the only ones that were on, right?
That's exactly right.
So that's the key is you have to tell them that they're only allowed to have 2 a weekend, and then you only watch 2.
Well, and I did watch 2 hockey games as well. But we don't need to talk about me. Let's talk about you. What did you think of the movie?
It was okay.
It was
good.
Just okay.
Well, it was good. It's like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Shakespeare.
Right.
It's that old English. I can barely speak bad English, let alone old English. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And so that was hard, huh?
It's always difficult.
Yeah.
Always difficult.
Right. Okay. Well, tell us who was in it and how was the acting.
You got it all pulled up right there.
I do, but this is your job.
It's a little Denzel Washington guy. Someone might know. Frances McDormand. A few people might know her too.
For sure.
Lots of Academy Award winners. It was directed by Joel Coen.
Okay.
So it's his first time not directing something with his brother Ethan.
Right.
Which is interesting. It was produced by A24, which is known for horror movies.
Oh, interesting.
And it was shot in 4:3, so like, standard TV square.
Right.
Not widescreen. And I thought it was very interesting how they shot it. It's like a blend of a play and a movie together. 100% black and white. It really feels like they're performing the play for you.
Okay.
So the acting was absolutely incredible. I'm sure Denzel and Frances McDormand will be nominated, if not win, like they always do.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know how they remember these lines so well and then also include emotion with them when most people can barely stand what they're saying.
It's true.
Understand what they're saying.
Understand, yes.
Yeah.
Very true, very true. How many reels are you going to give it?
It was good.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend it. It's mostly because how unique it was. I give it 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
Yeah.
And where can we watch it?
It's only streaming on Apple TV Plus, or I think they have it in the theaters.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
it's not everywhere in the theaters, but I think Picture Show has it here.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Let's give your mom a call, see what she thought.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, hello. How are you, Ma Hinshawn? Magic 99.1.
Just fine.
Wonderful. Well, Matt's in studio with me, and he just told me that he really liked The Tragedy of Macbeth. What did you think?
I thought it was the best version that I've seen.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
And, she saw the
Denzel?
original. I mean,
sure.
She was back in Shakespeare's time,
Not quite,
No,
Matt.
My daughter was chosen to do the Mrs. Macbeth's one soliloquy, and I'd heard that enough forever.
I bet.
But they did a great job, and the witch. I love the gal that played the witch. That was the scariest witch I've seen in all the versions that I've seen.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
Oh, yeah. She was freaking frightening.
Hey, no swearing.
Well, and did Pa Hinshaw fall asleep? Any snores?
Oh, he wouldn't even watch it.
Oh, he wouldn't even go there.
Oh, no. He had to sit through my eldest daughter's Shakespearean. I mean, she was the star in Taming of the Shrew, etc.
Yeah.
And he said, no.
Never again.
He did not want to watch it.
Oh, my gosh. That's hilarious. Well, how many cookies you going to give it?
Oh, gosh. Probably 4.5.
4.5. Okay. Matt gave it 4.
Wow. She's
Did
so
you
kind.
stay awake, Matt?
Yes.
Did you?
Oh, I'm proud.
Did you, Ma? Did you have any snores?
Oh, yeah.
How
You
many?
have to stay awake to understand what the heck they were saying.
Right. I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Well, that's
But
hilarious.
it was very, very good. And I thought, they can't make another version,
Right.
but they did.
They did.
And it was really cool. Out during spot.
I love it. Wonderful. Well, Matt, what are you going to be reviewing next week?
So I know you don't like this movie, but I think Mike and I need to do it because it's getting nominated for everything.
Okay, you are.
Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog. I'm
Yep.
excited that you're going to see it because I want to see what you think.
It's getting nominated for so much stuff. I feel like we're obligated to watch it.
It's kind of, it feels like a big production, kind of like Let There Be Blood. What's the blood movie with, what's his name?
No, you got it. Let
Yeah.
There Be Blood.
Yeah. It's kind of, it feels like that kind of
Like
movie.
that, okay.
Yeah. So I'll be anxious to see what you think.
That's one of those things me and my co-host try and do every year if we can. We might not review all of them, but we
Right.
try and see every single film that's nominated for Best Picture.
Okay. All right.
So
You going to see it too, Ma?
Well, where is it going to be? I mean, at the movies?
No, I think
Nope.
it's on Netflix.
It's on the old Netflix. Yep.
It's on the old Netflix. Power of the Dog, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll make my dogs watch it too.
Okay, very good, you guys. You got to check out the podcast. It's called The Real Film Nerds. Matt and Ma, thanks so much for reporting for us this morning.
No, thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.